That's incredibly aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, very energetic of us if that would be the case.
I think we should go.
Do you
I
want
think
to
we should
see?
try.
You want to
Aim
see
high
that?
at least.
I think
If
we
we
should aim
can't
high.
get it, see what we can do there.
I read something earlier today, which I'm gonna share, because I think it's relevant. Try to open up here. Give them the third best to go on. If the second best comes too late, the best never comes. So, seriously, if we each interview,
We aim for the third best.
if we each interview
Divvy it
one
up.
person a week for 2 months, January and February, we each do 8, that's a total of 40.
Yeah.
What do you think it's enough?
Yeah, that would be.
Well, getting the interviews done is one of the easiest parts of it.
Yeah, I
I
think,
agree,
Just
so
send it-
let's just do it.
Yeah.
so I think the hard part is what we've been working on now, is getting the questions down. And that part may not be done, even if we vote on it tonight, we have our beta tests with a few people and see how that goes.
You guys did a good job with the third round of questions, I like that.
I had a question about last night.
Sure.
At one point, Lynn Bermudez jumped in and said, oh, this is really great because she and Kelly are working on organizational, within town hall,
Is-
redoing stuff, and wouldn't it be great to share the questions?
Yeah, so I gave her, I met with Lynn and Kelly briefly last night before the meeting, because my understanding, as of last night, that one of their goals, one of the board of selectmen's goals for this fiscal year is to review the town's operations.
Mhm.
So there's overlap with what we're doing, because we're looking at operations from a government structural standpoint, and they've been looking, I think, at other parts of the operation. Excuse me. So there is gonna be overlap. I gave her my questions, the draft questions that I had, and that we haven't voted on yet, the version that I had prepared for tonight. So hopefully they're useful to her, but, you know, I don't think that changes our mission or our goal of trying to do what the board of selectmen charter is doing, which is to try to review the town's operations from a governmental structural standpoint, so.
I just felt that we need to be separate but equal. And we need to stand alone, our committee.
Oh, I don't think that,
You mean, Libby, like not commingle it with any effort? Okay.
yeah.
Is their effort more limited to the, I don't exactly know how to phrase it, to the employees? To figure out how they can become more efficient or effective, or?
I think that they will be talking to department heads for sure. You know, we had said at first we wanted to go with them last. I think that was my recollection. We wanted to talk to the different boards and committees, and to the extent we need to talk to department heads toward the end, we would do that. But
Yeah.
I think they want to talk to department heads directly. Was my understanding as part of their review.
Yeah.
They want to know how the different departments in town are.
Yeah, and that sort of gets to what I was thinking about their scope, and I don't know, but it would seem to me that their scope is more involved with what you would call the employee department heads, you know, and where we're not more, but our first area of focus is on the elected and the appointed boards, which in some cases are at a different level.
Yeah, they're at the highest level.
Yeah,
And of course, they do appoint various department heads.
yeah.
But, you know, we're gonna start at that high level
Yeah.
and see, take it from there. And I don't know how much overlap there'll be, and that's one of, I think there were 9 goals, I don't know what the other 8 goals are. So I don't know how much focus they're gonna,
But I don't have it with me, but I have it.
so I don't know how much they're gonna focus on it. I don't know if their goal is to review it and have a plan of action. I don't know that they know yet, so.
I just hope there isn't a duplication of effort, because, you know, if we're approaching something and they're doing it too, and then, like you said, there's some.
It's not only a duplication of effort, I think that we need to be separate from,
We're definitely separate. I mean,
you know, as long as,
So I mean, at some point, I'm hoping to talk to the Board of Selectmen, all of us as a committee, and find out how they feel about things. So from that perspective, we're gonna get their input anyway. That's the hope, so whether or not they wanna entertain us with that meeting is different.
I also thought it was interesting that Boyd kept mentioning, we were looking into historical governance. I wasn't sure whether he was talking about it in the town or in Massachusetts. He certainly mentioned other towns, looking at other towns, and I thought,
Well, I didn't really focus on that word, thinking about it, I remember the context which, when you said it, I took that to mean, how have we operated historically, just basically using that knowledge to help shape our opinion.
okay, I just wanted to bring it up because I thought it was interesting that he raised it.
Well, I'm hoping that we can get through these questions tonight. That's the game plan. And then maybe, and I'd hope to try to put together a list of boards and committees that we want to start with, and in particular, their chairs. I'm trying to look it up. I didn't put together that list yet.
I printed out all the lists with
I-
the names.
Yeah, I wrote down a list at one point from what's online, so you
Yeah.
probably have the information among us.
Well, I'm trying to pull up the list now, but I think I'm gonna have to do it, one committee by committee.
When I went online, I had to do it committee by committee.
Yeah.
There isn't a high-level view.
Right.
You had to go into each committee and say, okay, who's the chair?
Exactly,
Yeah.
who's the vice chair, yeah. But I just printed,
Organization chart.
I started with a list and then I just printed them out. So we do have,
So, let's get back to the agenda here. Do you want to take a look or have a discussion on the minutes? You want to talk about changes to the minutes, or if not, hear a motion?
They looked fine to me. I
yeah,
don't- yeah. I'll move that we accept them.
I'll second.
Any discussion? David abstain?
I have to abstain, yeah.
Hearing no discussion, vote?
Aye.
A friendly abstain.
Approved 4-0. Okay, so the next usual topic for discussion is the draft questions. Draft questions version 3. So let's start with the introductory statement. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I do. I'm wondering about the part of the statement, the second paragraph. Our purpose is to review the structure of town government, that's fine. Not to review the performance of any individual. I wonder if we need that.
Oh, yes.
I think that's the most important part.
Why?
Well, from a personnel point of view, some people may say, I'll just make up a thing, dog catcher. That dog catcher, isn't doing a good job and we should get rid of him. And from a personnel point of view, if you're thinking of re-looking at the way an organization is put together, you don't look at the individuals in the
No.
position, you look at the positions. So I think it needs to be there.
I just think it sounds defensive.
I think it sounds assertive.
I think it's going to hopefully put people at ease, that we can talk
Sounds
about
relaxing.
and say, look, we're not asking for your opinion on any one person. We just want to know how you think this works from just an organizational standpoint.
Given the municipal paranoia that exists, understandably, I think it's probably.
Any other thoughts or additions for the background? A1, the first softball question of the list. I mean, everyone's going to know whether they're elected or appointed, but it's going to be good to have our final chart, just to say whether they're elected or appointed. And if appointed by whom. So I
Fine.
break the ice that way.
Lou, do you wanna go through every question, or maybe we can just highlight where we?
Okay, sure. Does anyone have
Just
any?
'cause you, I mean, this is
We've done this
version
before.
3.
Yeah, yep, so does anyone
Because
have?
we could rewrite these till March.
And
if
yes.
we want.
You don't wanna do that?
No,
Alright.
less than interested.
Let's start with paragraph A then. Does anyone have any comments on any of the questions in paragraph A?
I do. On number 5, I think we discussed asking for people to score it from 1 to 10. Number 5, how important is it for members of your board? We talked about from 1 being not at all important to 10 being
Okay, so would
supremely
we
important.
want it 1 to 10 though for each of those categories,
No.
experience, knowledge, or skills, or just
Oh.
one of those?
We didn't
We didn't get that
we didn't
far.
get to that granular. I think 1 score might be good enough, myself. And I'm just saying that's what we talked about last time we met. I don't
Okay.
have a strong opinion on it. I mean,
So we could do 1 to 10, or we could do,
Or open-ended.
very important, not important.
doesn't matter. Or we could just leave it as is and let them answer it however they want.
1 to
Yeah.
10 gets a little bit too granular for something like this.
Yeah.
And everyone's scale of
Yeah.
is a little different.
Yeah.
So we could just, then, forget it. Let's just let them answer it, how they answer it, and see where
I
it goes.
would, especially if we're talking to a chair, they should have a good idea.
That's fine. I withdraw the comment.
It was a, if it's
We
a
did
brand new
talk
person.
about it, so I think you were saying that also because we talked about
Yeah, and there's no number 6, right?
it.
Oh,
No, there's a new number 6 that,
What's the new number 6? Ours is blank.
mine's blank, hers is not.
And no, it is not.
Mine is blank.
I have 6 as being the one with
Aha.
A through F.
Mine, number 7 is.
Oh, so
A
your
through A.
imagination
Already
is
some funny
screwy.
business.
It's
Yeah,
different.
mine's like yours.
See how your imagination's at the top of your page 2 for mine? Mine's,
Mine is exactly like yours.
huh,
And hers is exactly like yours.
And you know, which is interesting too, look at how small my font is compared to yours too.
Well, mine's larger than yours. You don't know, I don't know.
No.
Who knows?
Oh, well.
Font's larger than your font.
So then all of our numbers
might
are
be off
wrong.
by 1 man.
Yeah,
No, no.
yeah.
Here.
Yeah. But it's interesting, because I just printed mine out today. I printed it out this morning.
I printed mine out yesterday.
I had reviewed it online, but I printed it
Likewise.
out today.
Likewise.
Yeah, it looks like that's the only difference.
Yeah, I think that's right. So
That's interesting.
we'll.
Well, we just won't be responsible for printing it.
That's right. Okay, wow, so my section A ends at 11, but your section A ends at 10.
10.
So
Hey, I'll just fix mine.
6 is 7,
eight,
or,
9,
yeah.
10, got it. Okay. And then on question 9,
Then?
where it says, how do you generally reach decisions as a board?
Mhm.
I think, how do you reach decisions as a board? And then the things after that are, I think, examples.
Or other, so, or, yeah.
Right. How do you reach decisions as a board? Examples, legal requirements, past practices, personal experiences. I think that's how that's supposed to read.
Yeah.
After the word board,
Mhm.
I think the word examples : belongs.
How about E.G.?
E.g., perfect, even shorter.
And then there's an extra or in there, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put an et cetera there, that way they can
Good, fine.
put all the words there.
Okay.
Get their.
A lot of fine tuning in here.
Et cetera, E.g.,
Yeah, I
same.
have it.
Yeah.
I looked at it.
I never did take Latin.
You didn't take
I
that.
did not take Latin.
He's younger than we are.
There you go.
All right, any other comments for paragraph A?
No,
Moving on, B.
which is 11 through 13, I have nothing.
C.
I don't, maybe we can hold this, maybe we should hold this question to the end, but in multiple places we talked about administrative tasks, administrative assistance. I certainly, before I went to talk to anybody, want to have a clear understanding of what we are including in that. Because I think a lot of people could interpret it to be a lot of different things, like what do we mean by administrative tasks? And what do we mean by administrative assistance?
I understand, so when I think of administrative tasks, I think of basically, non-policy. And in some level, there's,
On policy, non-strategy, we might
Yeah.
wanna say that.
Yeah,
clarify
and-
it, yeah.
See, that's a much more broader interpretation that I think a lot of people would interpret it to mean.
so let me ask you this, because, there are some things that might be executive powers, which say you have to sign a check,
Yeah.
but I also consider that to be administrative.
Mhm.
How do you guys feel about that type of activity being administrative?
It's not-
What was the question again?
Like, certain executive functions, like signing a check, can be, you know, they're routine or non-policy, but they may not necessarily be administrative. So I just, where does that fit into this discussion as far as talking about administrative tasks? Like, if the chair of the board of selectmen had to run down to town hall on a Wednesday morning to execute a check, that to me sounds administrative more than executive, but clearly only, you know, the board of selectmen's.
They're the only ones who can sign a check.
Who do that, yeah.
Right.
I think by the mere fact that they're the only ones that can do it doesn't necessarily make it non-administrative.
I'm sorry, I, there were a couple of
Yeah.
dots in there. Can you
Yes.
say that differently?
Even members of the Board of Selectmen do administrative things.
I agree.
Mm.
And so I like what your initial, somebody's initial gut said,
Non-policy.
like, non-policy, non-strategic.
Yeah,
I think that's-
done.
So you're talking about question 11?
It's in question,
It is 11.
it's also in 8, it's also in 6D,
It's in 15. I mean, it's
it's throughout.
mentioned a couple of times.
So,
We're gonna get another EG and 8. EG,
where are you putting it?
and 8 after administrative tasks, I think. Administrative tasks, EG, non-policy, non-strategy, tasks,
Take my statement of relevance.
etc. We'll leave that one up for
Yeah.
interpretation,
I
yeah.
feel like I'm writing a legal contract
Yeah,
or
well, I can't
something.
help that, I'm sorry.
That's what he's used to do.
Are you aware?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Okay. So if we put it in there once, I think people will understand what it means for the rest of the
Yeah,
I think that's fine.
questions.
and more importantly, we'll know what it is for the rest of the
Yeah,
time.
that's right.
It also might depend on the board, and it might behoove us if, you know, you're going into, interview the Board of Health. What might be administrative tasks for the Board of Health?
You
And-
could ask them that question and not have it be on a questionnaire.
Yeah,
You know,
and
like,
then.
what do you, just part of the back and forth, what, you know, what do you find you spend your time on for administrative tasks?
Yeah.
But that might veer into what the board of selectmen might be doing for their,
It would probably, for the Board of Health, it would probably be very different from the water department. And that's part of our background is going into interview, but also getting it out of them and saying,
yeah, I think that's a good idea. We could have a second list of secondary questions.
Tertiary.
Some are gonna view administrative tasks as ordering copy paper or making copies or.
Right.
We can clarify that, this is helpful.
Yeah.
So,
My original concern was some people will think that's all,
Yeah.
that those are the only administrative
Right, yeah.
tasks.
Yeah. Like check signing authority that is different than that, ordering paper clips.
Mm.
so back to paragraph B, any other thoughts? Paragraph C, what works well with user improvement?
So, under C, I was, something. So number 18, question 18.
This might-
I think in question 18, I think we're asking about services that are within the board's area of responsibility. I don't think we're asking them about obstructions about services in general to the town.
I think that's correct.
So in 18, where I think we can just copy some of the words that we have in 23 up to 18. So you see in 23 that where it says that are within your board's area of responsibility. Under 23, I think we want to repeat that in 18. That are within your board's area of responsibility.
I think it should be repeat, that's a good point, John, and repeated in number 14. 14 is way too open-ended. Was working well.
I think at one point, didn't we say we wanted to have an open-ended question to get that conversation going? I think it was Julie who said we were really concentrating on what was wrong. I think maybe you didn't say it, but it was, the idea was
Give
to
it
get some
opportunity,
positive of it,
yes.
to say, oh, our boards are great,
Yeah.
we're happy, blah, blah, blah.
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be good to get input, or have a larger umbrella for positive feedback and a smaller umbrella for
Yeah.
the negative feedback. Focused.
I think that's another, I know we're sending out the questions, but this is another question that you can see how the interview is going, and you might want to put it at the end. Do you want, of that section, I don't know, depending, if they're really having a problem.
Which one do you want at the end?
The
18?
14, what's
14.
working well, if they're really complaining, or listing a lot of problems, then you might want to jump in and say, well, can you think of anything that's working well? Depend on what information you're getting.
I kind of like starting with the positive there. I like the placement of 14, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I think that because the rest of them are all
Negative.
negative.
Well,
Yeah, they're
most-
fishing for inefficiencies.
And fishing's a good word, but I think it's even more than that. It's we're helping them to think about what might be wrong. Where you say what's right, and usually people can tell you. But you say what's wrong, they go, no, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
and
it
they may be
helps them.
reluctant, yeah.
Or or they may be reluctant. But if you go right out and ask them,
Yeah.
blah blah blah, then they
Yeah.
have permission to tell us.
So they don't have any questions, additional questions about C for the language of the questions?
So did we change? Did we actually decide we were going to echo that?
I think so. So 18, as just discussed, we'll now read. Have you encountered any specific organizational inefficiencies within your board's area of responsibility with how your board and department operates? It's a little wordy now.
Yeah.
And when we do the first couple of
Where-
18,
18.
No, just as here, where's services to the town,
Mhm.
so do it in the same place. It's here, it's,
efficiency.
oh, good lord, did our numbers get changed again? Oh, because I'm sorry, I didn't update my number, I'm sorry. So it's really 17
John.
here. The effectiveness of the services to the town
Within your board.
that are within,
Okay.
so I'm sorry, so it's question 17.
Okay,
I don't want to-
but now I'll ask the same for 18. I guess
But no,
18
it
already does it.
already
18 already
says it.
Yep.
It already has it.
So let me read 17. What are some of the obstructions that prevent or delay the implementation of improvements to the effectiveness and efficiency of services to the town within your board's area of responsibility? That are within your board area.
Yeah. Thank you.
Paragraph D, any,
Yes, what's the difference between questions 25 and 26?
these are,
different numbers.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have the wrong numbers here. What are the differences between the next to last and 24 and 25? Thank you. What's the difference between 24 and 25?
Yeah, that's 24. You're right.
24 can go.
so 24 is a question about centralization. 25 is a question about centralization within the board of selectmen or town administrator.
Okay.
Whether or not we want those to be separate questions,
You need to
that's
make
how I
them
see it.
clearer, yeah.
So we're doing 24 versus 25?
I'm
On
asking,
your-
I'm
on yours
asking.
or
No, I
25?
changed my.
Yeah, so I'm asking what
Yeah.
the differences are. Now, what I'm understanding is 24 is asking about the government in general,
Mhm.
where 25 is asking about the selectmen or town administrator specifically.
Town administrator and board of selectmen.
Specifically, right, okay, so,
Then we need to say that in the first part of that first sentence. Make that, or before it even, with regard to, Board of Selectmen, with regard to.
or underline it, or something,
I
just to
think we
help
can
me.
make 24 in A and say, what advantage, what is it going to be, because our town government would be more centralized and less centralized from our government generally. And
Generally,
then B,
yeah, that's good.
or 20, actually, let's keep them separate, because I just think,
Yeah, I'll find
Organization.
them separate. I just
Yeah.
need clarity as to what the difference was, and now I know, so that's fine, because if somebody asks me, now I'll know.
It'll be interesting after the first couple of these, if we time it to see how long it takes us to get through. There's actually more than 26 questions, because 6 has,
Correct.
multiple parts.
yeah.
Well, I think we're gonna have to give these to people in advance
That's true,
and
that might help.
plead for their cooperation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just hand it to them,
Yeah.
It also
expect them to
depends-
be able to answer it.
It also depends, are you gonna get somebody
Stick a
talking?
recorder in their face and say, let's go.
This is a deposition.
26, what advantage did you see from having elected boards versus having board of I don't know, do we wanna end with 25? That's the big question.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you wanted to keep this elected versus appointed, then it should be pushed up more.
Good enough.
But I think, Libby, that was one that I think
Oh, yeah.
you felt kind of strongly about, maybe you can,
I do, I do, well, one is less centralized. If you have lots of boards, over half the boards are elected, that's less centralized than if you had the board of selectmen
appointing everyone.
Yeah, that would be more centralized.
Well, so then really it's really the question we're asking in 25,
Flip side of the same coin.
yeah.
It's not bad to ask that two different ways.
Yeah.
That's the
And I
main
think
question.
I think that's what we said
Yeah.
before.
So
I
maybe,
think
maybe we move that up, because we don't have to answer 25 and 26 right next to each other. We'll get the same answer. Maybe we'll think about it differently that way.
Okay, so you make 26, 25, and 25, 26?
I was thinking moving 26 up toward the
So
beginning.
like 22, before 22?
I think I would say after 22,
Okay, yeah, you're right.
just because the other one's all related to inefficiencies and efficiencies.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The 23 is we ask them if they have any knowledge of other towns and the way that they operate. I don't know, right now it's kind of striking me that it's sort of plopped down in the middle of,
You want to put that one last, you think?
yeah, I think maybe.
That's okay, I don't mind that. I was thinking from an organizational standpoint, if we did a matrix with all the questions, the public could look right down to that very last question and say, do you want a town administrator or not?
Well, yes, that would,
I mean, a strong town administrator, or strong board of selectmen or not.
we haven't actually used those words anyplace.
No, this is true. But that's the big question.
That is the big question. Well, maybe we just leave it where it is. I don't feel that strongly
We
about
could,
doing
we
it.
could put 23 after 19. Because they take suggestions. So 19's asking for positive suggestions, and so is 23.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
okay.
somewhat related.
Yeah, that actually, I like that.
And I will say that back in 03, 04, 05, when they did the initial, I believe when they did the initial study about changing the town, Topsfield town government, they did poll other communities.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know if we're gonna do something by March, I don't know if that's on the table, but
Yeah, not to go back to the discussion on the March date, but when you said March, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, we've got to interview, we've got to consolidate that information, we have to do an analysis of what all other possible forms of government might work, we need
Oh.
to survey other towns and get an understanding of what they did and what they think their pluses and minuses are.
meet with boards on their schedules.
Meet with boards on their
It's-
schedules.
It's not gonna be easy if we do it, but I still agree with John that we can at least try to see what we can get done every other week for the next,
Oh no, I think we should push hard to get there, but
I don't know what we can have.
Have you thought, Lou, about, or maybe that's right, like a cover paragraph on an email that forwards these questions about?
Well, no, I hadn't thought about that, I was hoping our little background would take care of that.
Yeah.
What were you thinking, Dave? I'm sorry.
Just, in the email that we were first initiate this, because I don't think everyone knows that they're gonna get these sets of questions, but I think the background information is really helpful.
I always hope, so that this form of the questions has the background statement right on it,
Mhm.
and I would just keep it there. So you could cut and paste that right into the body of an email,
Mhm.
and also keep it with the questions, so they can
Right, see it twice.
see it
possibly.
twice.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, my approach would be to call the chair of the particular boards first and say, look, are you amenable to sitting down and having this discussion with us, or with me? And if they say yes, it's great, then you send them the questionnaire like a week before you're gonna meet with them, so they have some time to chew it over.
and if they say no,
If they say no,
well,
we're gonna have a lot of NAs, we're
Yeah,
gonna cross.
yeah,
I'll answer for you.
Yeah.
Well, you could ask it, depending if it's the chair, you could say, well, is there anybody else on your committee, on your board
Yeah.
that you would recommend,
yeah,
Good idea.
yeah.
speaking to and
Yeah.
interviewing?
You were,
That-
you
that will
were, you
work
were your
one of-
designee.
Yeah, they'll work in one of two ways, either they'll say, oh, no, I'll do it, or they'll
Yeah.
say, good, get rid of that, then they'll
Well,
send you to somebody else.
Let's think about that, that might be a good way to get to talk to all the board members. So if you were to ask a chair, and they say, oh, 3 or 4 of my other members of my board would love to do this, then I think you take those interviews and do it.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily want to limit it to the chairs, I guess, sort of getting,
Yeah,
if the
well,
opportunity's there and they want to have us in or talk.
well, I thought our original approach was that, in fact, we would go to the chairs to start off with, but that eventually we would expand it. to other
I think
people.
that was.
So I think if they wanna go full-fledged, expanded to start off with,
Yeah.
My only hesitation with doing that is, do we want a beta test? See how this goes first
Yeah.
before we expand it to larger groups.
yes, I think we need to.
I think it's wise.
So, and then the timing of this, so if we vote this tonight, start reaching out to chairs, I don't know, my experience is people are usually busier during the holidays, although some people may have the week after Christmas off, I don't know if that's realistic, or what your schedules all are, so.
And phone versus in person, because that can have its own nuances with regards
That's right.
to.
That's right, and a lot of, I'll speak for myself, I don't know a lot of these chairs, and I know I prefer face-to-face, just because
Yeah.
it would be,
Yeah, they're gonna be,
It would be
if
better.
someone hasn't met someone and you get a call out of the, or even a scheduled call, they're gonna be quasi-reluctant or shorter than they were, I would imagine, than if it was done in person.
Oh, I think it has to be in person.
Oh, yeah,
Because you can say the same thing 3 different ways, and if you're not looking at the
Yeah,
person,
right,
it can
yeah.
mean different things.
Body language.
Yeah.
Mhm. And you need to break the ice, and I think that can only be done, but not only, but it's easier to do in person.
I think it'd be good if we could each try to do one before the end of the month.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
then,
it might
and
be
then,
hard,
that'll be, yep.
but if we can each, we can get 5 beta tests essentially before.
So if we meet again on the, let's see, it's the 4th, the 18th, I don't know if that'll be too soon to have a beta test and talk about that, but, if not, then hopefully we will at least done each done one interview before our first meeting in January.
Yeah,
Let's see, well, New Year's Day is the
it's
first,
the
so.
8th, the 8th is the
eighth
first
will be our
meeting.
first meeting.
Yeah, we said,
Will you, redo the questions and send it out to us?
I will. So what I would,
Copy.
You
what
can
what I'd
send
like is
version 4 out.
is get a vote tonight to, on the questions with the edits that we've discussed, to approve the questions. And so then if we wanted to, we, assuming that after that we approve the questions, we can try to figure out who we want to talk to first, and then maybe we have from now until January 8th to do that. So,
Okay.
and then once we, so assuming we get that vote, I'll make the changes and I'll circulate to everybody.
I make a motion to accept the questions as edited and discussed earlier this evening.
And to authorize the chair to make that,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
I second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
No,
Oh, 5-0.
Not a problem.
And let's, yeah, I think that we can go over this, let's try not to revisit them again, the general
Until next
intent is there.
I don't know how,
Until we get some feedback.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
agree with that, yeah.
Yeah.
does anybody
Very
have
good.
any particular wishes on who they might want to interview?
So I looked at the names of the board chairs, and there was really only 2 people I knew personally. But I'm happy to talk to anybody. I mean, if you want to give me somebody I've never met, that's fine too. But I know Cheryl Knudsen, and she's the chair of the Board of Health.
Mhm.
Happy to interview her.
I think that sounds like a good idea.
And
So,
I'd be happy to interview Gail Bryson, who's chair of the Board of Library Trustees.
I was gonna volunteer for Martha Morrison, planning board.
She was the other person I knew, and I'm glad you're doing her.
I can do share.
I know, but I can too, so Martha and I get along fine.
And you
But
can
if somebody else wanted Martha, I have a second one to, oh no, she's
You're gonna
actually.
sign me one.
I'll sign you one.
Yeah.
Are you chairing the rail trail committee?
Joe Geller is.
Joe Geller is.
Oh, yeah, I'll interview Joe, yeah, that's good, yeah. Does that count?
It counts, it's,
It's just a beta.
It's a beta.
Yeah,
Isn't he also the head of open space?
you're right, yeah.
So you
I could do
Yeah, that would
both
be
of
great.
those,
do
yeah.
2 hats, yeah.
What if you had 2 different answers for the 2 committees?
I don't know.
That might be, he could very well.
Well, I'll just catch
Yeah.
it. Best you can.
Space and rail trail. I have no idea. Eldon, are you the chair of the Board of Assessors?
No, I'm not on, that'd be Lynn Cohen.
Lynn Cohen.
I don't know her.
Probably.
Here's the list I put together, if you just wanna look at it. These are the elected ones, and then some
Well,
are appointed.
I could talk with Steve Whalen, I could talk to Phil Knowles.
Who's the water and sewer?
Phil
Phil
Knowles.
Knowles.
Yeah.
I could talk to Phil Knowles, I'll do that.
Isn't he also something
Was Mark
else?
Gallagher?
Highway.
Phil Knowles.
Phil is water and highway.
Yeah, so you could
He's
do.
chairing both?
Mm-hmm,
We're
yeah.
gonna get some twofers, we're gonna be done in February.
Sure. It would be interesting to hear, to.
I could interview Karen Dow, Finance Committee Chair.
There you go.
We're
I
done.
might do that, just because I have all her numbers already.
I forgot to get the list of the elementary school committee. Are we doing them?
I think eventually,
I-
they're a big one though.
They
And
are, but
They have a lot of help for administrative, they have a lot of administrative help, so they're almost like a separate entity. They're less, I mean, they're important and we need to interview them, but it's less,
they're not a good beta
it's
test.
dissimilar.
Yeah, and I think in some respect, wouldn't you, well, I don't know, wouldn't you think that they are, except for money coming and going, they're less involved in the administration and the running of the town?
They're almost
It's a
independent.
financial relationship they have.
True, but I think we ought to talk to them.
Oh,
I
yeah.
do.
I'm
And
not saying we shouldn't.
Yeah, I'm not saying right away, but I just didn't take down names, et cetera.
Well,
So
I did take down some names, I don't know if that, see that, if you can read my scrawl there, it says school committee, then it has a bunch of names. I don't know if those, can you see it?
Oh, there it is, here it is, school committee.
For
Pilata, I know the name.
Christine,
Dan
is it
Pilata
Christine?
I don't think he's chairing. It's
He's not
Kristen-
chair, it's Christine
Kristen
Ferrer who's
Ferrer.
chair. And Julia Stephens? I think it's the first name that's I don't know whether it's Christine or Francine or something like that.
Ross. Ross.
Oh,
The chair is Katrina Freya.
yeah.
Katrina.
Yeah, Katrina.
Katrina, okay, thank you.
My wife was on the school committee for a while, so that might be an old list. I don't know. So,
Zillion?
Zilly is, I think she's on the Masco committee.
Yeah, she's on that school.
So we each have one. We'll see how that goes and report back
Yeah.
if possible on the 18th, and if not,
Yes.
then that's still valuable information to say, hey, listen, I could get an interview.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, that's a data point,
yeah,
and it's,
it's still helpful feedback, yeah. So, good, great, so I don't think we need to actually vote on that. I don't have anything else on the agenda. Correspondence and materials,
There was something, was it Kelly Hebert asked for copies of some of the
yes, Kelly,
the addendums or something?
Kelly asked for some of the items used at our October 23rd meeting.
Yes.
And, actually I didn't copy everybody, but I did make sure she was supplied with those
Thank
things.
you.
My question would be, are we still, things that we bring to the meeting, are we still supposed to be depositing them in your town hall email?
I think
And is
that,
that where
Yes.
the official copies will reside?
yes, so for like, the organizational chart, which you draft organizational chart you provide, that was one of the things I had to scan it and email it to.
I sent that over.
I know, but I didn't go
Oh.
back and look through my whole file, I had a hard copy, I remember this copy
Yeah,
to scan.
yeah.
But that would be very helpful, if there are attachments that we use at the meeting, if you could email them to me after the meeting sometime before the next meeting. And what I'll do is, I'll compile them with the approved minutes, and I'll send them to Debbie Braun in the Board of Selectmen's office, and they can figure out what to do with the minutes and the items that we used.
So then we're going to keep copies of the things that we use at the meeting with the minutes of the meeting.
We have to.
Legally, you don't have to have them physically with them, but they have to be
Oh, but-
someplace where you can access them.
Right,
Yeah.
that's right, so, but to me, it makes sense, like, so they don't have to be appended to the minutes.
Yeah,
But to me, organizationally, it makes sense to send them to them all together. So if there's a public records request, you know,
Mhm.
Debbie can say, okay, here are the October 23rd
Mhm.
minutes, here are the 4 items that we used. And so, and when I say used, I mean basically things that we pass out,
Yeah.
or their exhibits. Because if we refer to a 2005 report, that to me doesn't mean, okay, that has to be part of the minutes. It's just
Mhm.
things that we, like things like the draft list of questions.
Mhm,
That's
mhm.
clearly
Yeah.
an item that needs to be referenced in the minutes and kept in perpetuity.
so that we send them to your town hall account.
Yes.
Email them to your town hall account. So then, actually, they all should be physically,
They'll-
there'll be electronic copies of them all in one place.
They'll all be there, and then I think I'll take that extra step to organize them for Debbie, to say, these are the minutes, these are the items that go with it.
Okay, all right.
If you prefer to send them to my work account, and I'll send them all at once to Debbie, that's fine too. But, I mean, you're sending it to my Topsfield account anyway, so.
Well, no, I think it makes sense to keep it in the Topsfield account,
Yeah.
because then on the Topsfield server, there are copies of all these things if we, you know, if we all simultaneously throw away all our paperwork or lose our accounts or whatever.
So that was it for correspondence and materials, upcoming meeting schedule, it's the 18th, pose any problem for anyone given the holidays? So we'll meet on the 18th, 7:30 here. Topics not anticipated by the chair, anyone, members of the committee have anything?
For topics,
For anything that you wanna talk about that we haven't talked about yet tonight?
oh, well, with our interviews.
Well, yeah, you mean, once we get to done, or is something about the interviews you wanna talk about for tonight?
I think
Oh,
we
not
talked about it.
tonight. No,
yeah.
I'm the meeting, I'm sorry.
Anything, gentlemen?
Nice job.
I apologize, I can't think of anything.
Oh, that's, no apologies necessary, that's what we like to hear.
I try
So,
to, but, no, it sounds good.
Anyone who's in
Whatever
charge
you
of
had
the
for,
best motion?
whatever you had for dinner tonight, have it next time too.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll
I
second.
second.
Discussion, hearing none,
Nice job, that was.
5-0. Alright. That's our quickest meeting.
Yeah,
Let's clock that in at
let's-
8:18. That makes us see my kids tonight.
Good.